So I love Genspark. Genspark to me is the ultimate AI. And why do I like that? Because it gives me access to so many different models. It's an amazing tool. And if you're not using it, I'd say you're really missing out. A couple of key things to understand about Genspark is that it can choose any other AI tool. So if you're writing, it might use OpenAI or Claude or Perplexity or whatever. You can choose the different models that are available, Gemini, etc. And the same goes for all the different things it does, from creating slides to sheets to docs to AI development. So it does everything. And while that might seem a bit strange, it's super, super powerful. And the quality of its output is way above anything that I've ever seen OpenAI do because of the way it thinks. So this is the Genspace workspace where you can come in here and you can click to personalize who you are and what you do and all the traits that you want for when they're researching. You can also link it up to Google Calendar, Google Drive, and a whole pile of other places so you can tap into things. There's a lot of stuff going on here, but I'm not really going to be covering that today. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to grab an article that I wrote yesterday and edited, and I've uploaded it to LinkedIn under my LinkedIn profile, Brad Houck. And this one is an article about command and control. As a firefighter and a business owner, I'm taking the concepts of firefighting and I apply them to business to help people understand in a different way about communication. So this article is around 2,500, 3,000 words, I think, and it has a lot of content in it, but I'd like to do some things with it. So from here, I can ask it to do anything, but if I'm just going to switch to AI Slides, because what I want to do is I want to take the content and turn it into a slideshow that I can use to do a presentation. So if I switch to this, I'm now going to just redrag that back in because I'm in here. And I'm going to say, please create a presentation based on the main points covered in this article. Use the fire idiom and business comparisons to illustrate, I misspelled that, the concepts. Now, a couple of things to look at here. I've just typed that, which is a real pain. So if you really want to make it work for you, the best thing you can do is actually click voice input and speak what you want to speak. So if I click voice input, you can see it's here. It's got my Rode NTSB. I say allow. Please read this article, pick out the main points and create a presentation. Make sure you use the fire idioms and business comparisons to illustrate the points clearly. I want it to talk to a business audience, but be really interesting. So keep the facts light and fun and punchy so that we really have an impact. So if I just get rid of what I typed, because it really wasn't enough, I've got a lot more detail here now. So one of the key things I've learned about using AI recently is speaking to it, you actually put a lot more words in. When I type, I can type at 120 words per minute when I'm not concentrating on talking to you, but I make mistakes and I cut down on words just to save time. So when I speak, I can speak much faster than that. So it's a great way to input that information. Okay, so press go. And now see my screen is now split and it will start to read the concepts that are in the article and create a preview of the slides over here. Now, one of the really cool things about this is it actually uses HTML to create the slides, which gives it a lot more power than a normal slide developer, because with HTML, you can really control the layout. But just because it's HTML doesn't mean it's of no use to you. When you export the presentation at the end, you can actually export it as a PowerPoint file that you can edit or a PDF. So super, super powerful. Okay, so it's saying, I've read the article, it's brilliant, real life fireground stories. And now it's working its way through the deep thinking tool. It's now looking at some presentation thinking, some thinking about what it's going to do. And it's now down to design presentation structure with punchy, fun delivery. Now, I never know where this is going to go. So sometimes it's quite surprising and I really enjoy the output. And I got to say, the first time I did this, it absolutely blew me away. Now, I've had a couple of ones that came out pretty rough, and sometimes the layout isn't perfect, but remember, you can open it up in PowerPoint and edit it later. So you can just make some minor changes if you need to. But when I shared it with a friend of mine who's a professional speaker like I am, he was absolutely shocked that AI could do that. Okay, so our AI is now starting to generate. You can see we've got 11 out of 11 slides, and it's going to bounce up and down as it goes through the process of writing. So now you can see we've got preview code and thinking mode. So you can switch between those modes, but thinking mode is obviously where it's at right at the moment, conceptualizing the size, refining the layout details, building the HTML skeleton, constructing the cover slide. It's going through all the steps of making a great slide. So can we see anything here? No. What about preview? Not quite yet. So we'll let it go and think for a second. Now you'll notice on this side, we've now got the outline. Okay. First slide's going to be basically a cover slide. Second one, when the gully lit up, radio chaos. One clear command changes everything. Is your marketing radio chaos from noise to orders before and after. Fireground comms, messaging templates, real world examples, brand clarity blueprint, which is a blueprint I've created where I actually interview you, and then I've created software to actually produce a report for you all about your brand, the key messages you should be pushing out, who you should be talking to, how you should do that. So it's a really great report. It's a business changing because it makes sure your message actually sets you apart from everyone else. And then we've got a 30-minute radio read. So read your homepage out loud, which is the exercise that's actually in the article. And then words are instructions, not decoration, which is a key point. Words on a page are all about telling people to do things. They're not just there to make things look pretty. Now, you'll notice looking at this slide here, this is a bit out of alignment. It doesn't mean it's the finished slide, so it may come back and move that, but you can always, as I said, open it up in PowerPoint. So let's go back to the first slide just for a second. It'll scroll up and down, so just ignore that. You'll see now emergency protocols for business, command and communication, clear marketing, and look at this great background. How pro is this? Think about how hard this would be to actually create. We've got little boxes, we've got lines on the side, we've got presenter. So obviously I would change that to my name in PowerPoint. Before noise, after signal, so a little message hidden there. But stands out. You imagine this on a big screen, on a stage, that this would have impact, even without any photos or anything in it. And of course, I can always go back and add photos later to illustrate my point. Second slide, let's scroll back up this side here. Our second slide is supposed to be when the gully lit up, calm flank, gully lights up, everything changes, radio becomes a wall of sound. If your messages feel like this to you, your marketing probably does too. A little bit of a layout error here, sorry, because you can see it's sitting up too tight and this is the wrong color. But that's all right. Again, it's not necessarily going to be perfect. And look, I can tell the AI to edit it when we finish, but I'm not always sure that's the best way to go, because then you fight with the AI as it makes changes and goes back and forth. So sometimes it's easier just pull it out, shove it in PowerPoint and play with it, because, well, we've all been using PowerPoint for eons. So next slide, one command changes everything. Fall back to the main road, confirm when clear. So this is a little story that's in there about fire. The conditions changed and the instructions come through from the incident control saying, fall back to the main road and let me know when you are clear from the fire front. In other words, clear communication coming through so that the people on the fire trucks know what to do. It's not multiple messages, just simple, straightforward message, respond when you're safe. Then we come into, so one task, one location, one next step. In other words, one thing to do, go to this place and then confirm, which is the best way to give a command, of course, whether it's in business or on the fireground. Now, you might say, well, if this is a presentation that's being put up on screen, it's a bit wordy. And I know as a speaker, I don't want too many words on my slides. I want to talk over the top of them. But remember, I can edit some things out if I want to. The other thing is, the font's a bit small, isn't it? Well, if you look at that, we help businesses grow. That really could be bigger. That's fine. Remember, it's doing all of this for you. You don't have to do anything and you can edit it later. And I'm going to keep coming back to that point, because that was a sticking point that I had when I first started using the AI generator, was that when I did AI slides, I was unhappy with some of the layout because I'm fussy and I'm a perfectionist sometimes. And I can't handle it when it doesn't do it the way I think it should do it. And I had to realize that it's not going to be perfect because I'm actually not giving it very much in the way of command. If we go back to where we started and you look at my command, it's pretty short, isn't it? Now, if I really wanted these slides to be certain colors, certain fonts, all that sort of stuff, I actually need to put that in the prompt. So if you've done a presentation before, you might want to upload that to AI and say, please write a prompt that I can use to tell AI to build slides that look like this. And it will review that and it will tell you what you need to put. And then you can put that into the prompt before you submit it. So don't think it has to be like this. You know, these mixes of colors, look, it's using multicolor here. It's using different 2-color here. That's not something I would normally do in my marketing. I would be a lot more strict, but it is keeping similar colors, this peachish colors coming through a few times. Now, I can tell it to switch to my orange. I use orange and blue. They're my colors for my business, Profit Clicks. I can do that, but I don't need to. And maybe I'll tell it to do that once we've finished and we've got through the whole process. You can now see we're down to slide 7, and I'm just going to let it go and get the rest of this, and then I'm going to come back and we'll have a look at it. Now, I just thought I'd come back to you before this finishes because I actually wanted to show you the code mode. See here, you can actually see the HTML code being written. And if I switch to this here, it'll continue. So that's what I'm telling you is going on in the background, is using HTML to do this. And HTML does give you a lot of options when it comes to layout. And then once I switch to preview mode, there is our layout completed. So let's see what happens when they're all done. Okay, so we're finished now and all the slides are done. You'll notice on this side that it's actually going to go through. Here's the presentation, what you've got, the design philosophy, and just options for you that you might want to do from this. So add a dramatic diagram image to slide 2, create a visual diagram showing the message flow, add Brad's photo, my photo, and credentials to the cover or slide. Now, I don't want to do that because it'll set it off again. So let's go right to the top. Here's our slides, second one, third one, fourth one, fifth one, sixth one, seventh one, now 8th, and so on through to our final one. Your words are not decoration, they're instructions. Now, it's not perfect. As I said, there's a lot of information on here, and that's my fault because I told it to make a presentation. I didn't tell it that I only want a small amount of words and to use a large font and all that. But this would actually work really well for a workshop. So if I want to do a 45-minute workshop, which I actually think I might do, I'll record it and put it on YouTube, about this topic, I can use this and I could go in and make these so that they hide until I press the space bar. So they come up 1, 2, 3 as we go through the different elements while I'm talking. So it gives you a beautiful presentation, all from that information. So remember, there was a lot of information in that article. It was almost 3,000 words. And that's a lot of content. And overall, I think it's really good. Now, I could tell it that I want 30 slides or 20 slides. It's up to me. And it does use a certain amount of credits to do this sort of work. If I have a look at my credits down the bottom here, that used about, probably 600 credits. But that's fine because it's not like I'm going to be doing this every single day, and I can buy more credits if I need to. So it's all done. Now I have some options. I can share, so I can actually give people a link, or I can view and export. So I can presentation view, export, save as template, and I could add my voiceover to it. So if I go to export, it's going to open a new window and I can choose PowerPoint, PDF, or Google Slides, which is pretty cool. And once it's finished collecting all the information and preparing the slides in a format of PowerPoint, of course, it will then come up and allow me to choose where I want to save it. So it saves it to my AI drive, which is part of the package with Genspark. So you can always come back to this later, just so you know. If I click download, I'm just going to save that on the desktop, and there we go. So if I come up and go export again, I can choose different things. So there you go. That is Genspark AI Slides. Super powerful, super cool, does amazing work. But remember, if it's not perfect, you can always send the AI back again, like some of the suggestions where it said replace with my name and things, or you can actually export to PowerPoint and make the changes in PowerPoint. Personally, myself, I actually prefer to do that in PowerPoint because it doesn't use credits and it's really not that hard to do. Hope you enjoyed this. I'm going to do some more Genspark videos in the future. And if you do like it, please subscribe and share this with someone else. Genspark is absolutely changing the world. I'm a huge fan. I've been using them since they launched, and I'm going to continue to do so. And I think As you learn about the different modules in here, it's going to blow you away how good this is. So catch you in the next video.